Good morning and welcome to what is arguably the best show on television. Frankly speaking, I'm your host, Frank Acom. I got a really good feeling about today's program, so I hope that you will be a part of it. Weigh in. I've got a couple comments I'm going to read in just a moment. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, and during our M.A. Neal Financial Services interview portion of the program, we are going to have guests broadcasting live on your television from Italy. Rome, Italy, to be exact, because we're going to hear from our good friends, longtime contributors to Frankly Speaking, Elisa and Sylvia. They're going to talk about their reunion. If you're new to the program, Elisa and Sylvia are a part of ASSE.com, the International Student Exchange Program. Find out more at ASSE.com. They were on the program early on when they kind of met each other, if you will, Elisa being the host family. Then we had them on their last, I think it was their second to last day before Sylvia returned home, and now they're on a nice reunion visiting. I know that all happened very, very fast if you watch the program because we've only been on, 6 months? But they've been very important to the program, so I want to make sure that we talk to Sylvia on her home turf. Okay, couple quick things before we go to our first break. Let's first read comments. Then I've got a pretty cool story I think you're going to enjoy. Okay, this is a message I received yesterday. I had asked for questions for Sheriff Schramm, Chemung County Sheriff Schramm, and the majority of the questions were about the pistol permit recertification system. We did not go into, and this is my fault, we did not go into enough of that because it is very confusing. And someone has asked, the sheriff touched on it briefly today, but we're going to need somebody with more information because there's a lot of people that have questions. Try to look into it. Nobody gets notices. It's word of mouth. It's press releases. Maybe somebody from the state police or our state representatives might want to come on to explain a few more things. Please, if you could, thanks. Yes, I will definitely start reaching out, and I appreciate that. That's one of the things early on in the program we talked about. If you have an issue you want discussed and you want me to find as best of an expert as I can, I will. If you want, you're having an issue in your town, your village, wherever, I will do the best I can to get your representative on the program to talk about those issues and other issues. So thank you for this suggestion. I take it very seriously, and I will look into it. The other comment, which actually ties in with a really big story yesterday, and again, these are people that commented after the program or I missed during the program, one or the other. There is more concern for using COVID masks than there is for unvaccinated illegal immigrants in New York schools. That's something that's very fascinating. And the New York Post had a piece yesterday because kids in the city were actually being displaced. There wasn't enough room in the high schools, so because they weren't prepared for how many migrants would be attending the schools, so they had to move them to a separate location, a separate building. It's caused a lot of outrage. Mayor Adams from New York City yesterday saying that the migrant crisis is going to destroy New York City. So this is going to be a very big topic, and unfortunately it's not about public safety. I mean, we want kids to go to school. I mean, it's not about those issues, unfortunately, and I don't think I'm telling you anything you don't already know. It's going to be an issue because Democrats don't know how to handle it from the political standpoint. They're afraid that it could end up costing them elections. That doesn't mean they're going to do whatever the right thing is. That doesn't mean, same with we talked about with public safety yesterday. It doesn't mean with bail reform they're going to do anything of substance. They just need to find ways to spin it and use the PR machine so that it doesn't end up hurting them in an election. But if you look at polls, people are not happy about this crisis, whether it's in the city, whether it's, obviously we've talked about it here in our area, the more rural areas of New York, where it's going to become an issue if it's not already an issue. I know Erie County had some issues, Monroe. So it is going to be an issue at some point. It's only a matter of time. And some are rightfully so blaming the federal government, specifically Joe Biden, for the crisis at the border. So I thank you for that message. Let me see. I do have to take a break. We do have a couple other messages we may get to here in just a second after I take the break. This is what, no, I do got to take a break. because I'm going to run late. Because like I said, we're going to have a fun show this morning. I can tell already that I'm going to be running late. So please bear with me. Thank you for joining us here on Frankly Speaking. We'll be right back. We are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We did receive another message early on that I wanted to get to. Do you know why the Democrats are doing so many crazy things? What are they trying to accomplish? Are they trying to destroy everything this country is about? What is the end game? Are they trying to get us to sleepwalk into Armageddon? So that's another message that we received. I mean, if you're looking for an answer from me, I don't have one. We can all speculate why. I mean, I've asked this question, not to keep bringing up the bail reform on public safety, but I've asked it a million times. What is the end game? Well, I think a lot of it is this kind of virtue signaling that people want to act like they care the most, because that makes you very popular in today's culture, and it doesn't matter what happens on the back end of that. And that actually ties in good. Thank you for that. I know this wasn't about bail reform specifically, but catch and release. Yesterday we had Sheriff Schramm on, and we talked about that quite a bit, bail reform, and just the laws on the books that coddle the criminals and tie the hands of the police. Well, did you hear this story? It's coming out of the New York Post, and it's a very disturbing story of what happened to this Minnesota Democrat. Her name is Sevanthi Sethanathan. Don't quote me on that, but that's got to be close. So she's had numerous tweets, numerous comments about really defunding the police, that police are the problem, that they're not helping various communities, whatever the case may be. Well, that all changed yesterday, and she was a very outspoken advocate towards, I guess you would say, defunding the police, for lack of a better term, or kind of this anti-police message. And that's exactly how the New York Post put it. Anti-cop Minnesota Democrat Party official. So she's a Minnesota Democrat Farmer Labor Party official who once vowed to dismantle, I'm sorry, that was the word I was looking for, to dismantle, I can put this up on the screen, but there's no picture there, dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department. She's now calling for tougher crime laws after she was beaten and bloodied in a carjacking outside of her home this week. And that's what's sad about it. We talked about this going back to the beginning of bail reform on my radio program, that the sad thing is people aren't going to realize how bad this is until, hopefully, God forbid, it doesn't happen, but until it affects them. And that's why I've mentioned on the program so many times, what makes me so angry is the countless victims that did not need to be victims. So I'll continue here. She took to Facebook, where she fumed that the 4 young suspects need to be brought to justice. So see how things change when it affects you. And that's with most laws, in Albany or in Washington. I have a broken leg, deep lacerations on my head, bruising and cuts all over my body, and I have rage, she wrote. This all happened in front. This is what I mean. This is just horrible. It happened in front of her 4-year-old daughter and 7-year-old son at 7:45 p.m. on Tuesday. We're not talking midnight. When it was 7:45 p.m. Quote, "These men knew what they were doing. I have no doubt in all caps, that they have done this before. Yet they are still on our streets, killing mothers, giving babies psychological trauma that a lifetime of therapy cannot ease, with no hesitation and no remorse," she continued. "I am now part of the statistics. I wasn't silent when I fought these men to save my life and my babies, and I won't be silent now. We need to get illegal guns off the street," so she has to put that in there. "Catch these young people who are running wild, creating chaos across our city, and hold them in custody and prosecute them." Hold them in custody? Going back to bail reform, and I'm not making light of this at all. This is a horrible scenario. It's unfortunate that she couldn't hear the stories of other victims before this, before she became filled with, and I quote, rage, right? Quote, "Look at my face. Remember me when you are thinking about supporting letting juveniles and young people out of custody to roam our streets instead of holding them accountable for their actions." And we mentioned that yesterday. Younger people are being recruited because there are no penalties. And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We're broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Beautiful day on Market Street. A lot of people out walking and running. Make sure you wave if you get a chance so we can add you to the wave counter, but hopefully you're not out walking and that you're watching the program. Okay, congratulations. I wanted to mention this at the beginning of the program, but just quickly before we dive in the nitty-gritty here. Congratulations to our good friend, Corning native, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, Duane Eddy. He is being inducted into the Music City Walk of Fame. That's, of course, in Nashville. The Music City Walk of Fame has announced 4 new inductees. 3-time Grammy Award winner, Darius Rucker. You may recall, his country career is amazing, but also his time with Hootie and the Blowfish. Don McLean, probably most famous for American Pie. Rock and roll guitarist Duane Eddy, and former record label executive Joe Galante. The ceremony takes place on October 4th. I can't wait to find out more about it. The fan club, I'm sure, will let me know, and I'll keep you updated if it's something that could be streamed online. And it'll take place at Music City Walk of Fame Park. Members of the public are invited to view the ceremony. Oh, that'll be fun. I can't wait to see the pictures. So congratulations to our good friend, Duane Eddy. Again, now he's on the Walk of Fame. We've got to get something for Duane Eddy, the Corning Walk of Fame, some type of recognition for, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, Musicians Hall of Famer, created essentially that twangy sound. The list goes on, the accomplishments. He is very proud, and he will tell you that, very proud member of the Steuben County Hall of Fame, which happened a few years back, unfortunately, during COVID, and the ceremony was staggered because of that, but it was still a nice ceremony, and he was very, very proud. I can't underestimate, that'll work, how excited he was when I sent him the plaque, and how just honored, I think was the only word I could use to be recognized by his hometown. So we are going to talk about this poll that has the media worried about the presidential election. So you see a lot of defense of the Biden administration. You see a lot of spin on the polling numbers that come from CNN. Remember, this is from CNN that does not want to demean the president in any way or put into doubt his electability. So it's kind of fascinating to actually read the article announcing these poll numbers, because they try to do everything they can to put somewhat of a spin on it, but the numbers are really disastrous for the president. President Joe Biden faces continued headwinds from broadly negative job ratings overall, widespread concern about his age, and decreased confidence among Democratic-aligned voters. If you look at some of these numbers, which we'll get to after we talk with Elisa and Sylvia, but a broad 67% majority of Democrat and Democrat-leaning voters now say it's very or extremely likely that Biden will be again the party's nominee. So they start with that. 67% say, yeah, of Democrat-leaning. Yeah, he's going to be the nominee. But 67% also, same number, 67% also say the party should nominate someone other than Biden. That's up from 54% in just March, though still below the high of 75 who said they were seeking an alternative last summer. Now, there's really no options, and this is why they're so scared in the Democrat Party about Cornel West as third party, as Green candidate, because he will definitely siphon off some votes. The same goes with, and this is for the primary, so I was thinking ahead the general, but in the primary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will siphon off some votes. Will it be enough to overtake him? No, I don't believe so, but that's really the only alternative come primary day. But again, Cornel West is a real scare for many people, because he has the potential of being the, I don't even know what term to use. Really, the spoiler, I guess, in all of this. So we're going to talk about what this means, how the media is trying to spin it, how the media is trying desperately to defend the president when it comes to economic issues. I can't wait to show you the headline in this one article. But we do have to take a break because we're going to be talking with Elisa and Sylvia. And I do want to give a disclaimer here because earlier I said live from Italy. I did pre-tape this. I didn't mean to mention live in there, but I don't want to mislead you. We filmed this yesterday because of the time change, but also because of technical issues over Zoom. I wanted to make sure it all went well. So we're going to hear from our good friends Elisa and Sylvia from ASSE.com. That's the International Student Exchange Program when we come back. So stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking on WYDC TV, Big Fox. Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. This is the M.A. Neal Financial Services section of our program. And of course, it's our near and dear friends, Elisa and Sylvia. Thanks for being on the show.
Hi.
Hey, where are you guys zooming in from?
From Rome.
Woohoo!
Rome, Italy. Wow. So how nice was it for you guys to see each other again?
It was amazing.
It was
Yeah. So what have you done so far on the trip, Elisa or Sylvia? Because it's not really a trip for you, right, Sylvia? This is just where you live.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was more for her.
Yeah.
We have done, oh man, we've done a lot. We went to Florence.
Okay.
We spent a day in Florence, and that was really fun. We went downtown Perugia, where she lives. That's like her hometown. We went to Assisi, which was incredible.
Sure.
Today we're in Rome, so we've been all over and we're sightseeing and eating all of the food and taking naps.
Was taking naps. Was Sylvia right that the food there is better?
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's onto something.
Yeah. So I've got to imagine, Elisa, this trip for both of you is going very quickly.
Yeah, when she booked it, I thought, wow, 8 days to be away from my, home and
Sure.
work and the puppies. But it's gone by really fast. I can't believe today is my last day.
Well, I can't believe how quickly the trip came up. Last time you were both on the show, you were saying it's all going to be okay because we've got a trip coming up soon. Next thing I know, you're there.
I know. She got back and she was really busy. Her and her family went to Greece for, almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, 10 days.
Mm-hmm. And then she's been studying. She had to take a huge exam that she passed the day before I came. So we were kind of celebrating with her.
Congratulations. So what was the test for?
They were making sure that I wasn't like behind with the programmer.
Oh.
Because I kind of like lost my fourth year of high school, like my Italian high school. So they were just making sure, but I passed it.
So we didn't set you back here in the States. You're right on track. Everything's okay. Good. I'm glad to hear that. So what was it like, Sylvia, when you got back home? What was the first thing you did?
I just spent a lot of time with my sister
Mhm.
because she left for studying abroad for university. So I really spent a lot of time with her and then just studying for a long month and it was busy.
Is that the sister that was on the program?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So she's back in university now.
Yeah, well, she just started because she had a gap year.
Okay.
Because she didn't really enjoy her university in Perugia where I live, and so she moved in the Netherlands,
Oh, wow.
and now she loves it. So.
Oh, that's great. How's the rest of the family? Were they all happy to see you?
Yeah.
Yeah. They couldn't wait to hear all of her stories and see her. And
Oh, sure. How excited were they to meet you, Elisa?
I feel like they were really excited.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
naturally.
well, naturally, jeepers. Well, I know.
No, her family.
Well, we had talked about it on the last time you were on the program that you have both become family. So to see that extended family must have been nice.
You know what's weird is, and I was telling Sylvia and her parents, I feel like I've always been here. I don't feel like I was just meeting them for the first time.
Right.
It was very natural. Her brother, her parents, everybody that I've met, it just, I don't know, it felt like we've been doing this. I've been here before.
So is your Italian really good, Elisa, or did you demand everybody speak English?
Today she asked the check at the restaurant.
She made me ask for the check at the restaurant. I did terrible.
Oh. Did they look at you in confusion?
No, they knew English, so they were like working with me. They were like, come on, do it.
That's really funny. If you're just joining us, Elisa and Sylvia are our guest. It's ASSE.com, International Student Exchange Program. You've been on the program. This is your third time. We watched you throughout your whole American career, and now it's exciting to have you on the program there, right in Italy. What? Okay.
Yeah, we're tuning in right from Rome.
When does school start? Or is it already started? You passed your test, so when does school start?
We'll start on Monday, so the 11th.
Oh, wow. So you've packed in a lot of stuff here. The trip,
Yeah.
and then going right to school. Wow. So is there something, Sylvia, that you missed the most from back here?
Okay. I feel like I will really miss like the school atmosphere because it's just really different, and so I'm sure as soon as I start school here, I will really miss the school there and cheerleading.
Right. So, Sylvia, what was it like? I mentioned when you first got back there. What was kind of your first reaction? Because we had talked about it the last time that you had grown up so much. Were people surprised? Were people confused by the changes, I suppose?
Like my family, that they know me the most. They for sure like saw the confidence that I have now, which is really different because I was really shy.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I have less fears, and yeah, so they noticed it.
Yeah. And Elisa, what was it like when Sylvia left for you?
Devastating.
Yeah.
The first day I cried like a baby.
Yeah.
Like cried like a baby. Because it just didn't seem like she wasn't coming back. You know, I thought, oh,
Right.
she's at her friend's house and she's going to be back tonight or tomorrow. So that was really hard when that set in. But I mean, she's going to be a part of my life forever and her family. So, and if her family can share her with me for a year, I guess I can give her back for a little bit.
For a little bit. You don't know the exact time frame yet. Do you have another trip planned? Are you thinking about Sylvia coming back to the States or vice versa?
Yeah, I think I will for the summer because the month of June it's like exam it's an exam month because I finish high school, so I need to graduate, and then from July to August I think I'm gonna plan to come.
Will you let her stay with you, Elisa?
Her room is always going to be hers.
Okay.
It's like a Sylvia shrine.
Okay. Hey, well, it's really creepy, Sylvia, since you've left. It's gotten really bad. So is this your last year? So have you, I think I asked you this last time, but when do you start looking for a university to go to?
They usually start on January of the next year, and yeah, so the application starts in January, but you can always decide during the summer. So there's not like a due date.
Right.
Oh, have you given it any thought to where you'd like to go, or you've got so much going on right now, push it to the side for a little while?
So I would like to do something about design, but not just like graphic design. I want to do something related. So like I saw business design engineering,
Okay.
which is like interesting, and yeah, maybe
So it's a little broader.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that's a good
or
idea.
like in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to let you guys
You
go.
know
I'm
what's
sorry.
crazy? Oh, no. You know what's crazy is we did not plan this, but the day I got here was officially our 1 year anniversary date to when she found out about me.
Wow. What's the chances of that?
It's so crazy, and I didn't realize it until I got here, and they told me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and that was nothing that we planned.
No. Isn't that great? ASSE.com, International Student Exchange Program, is find out more because you see how successful it was in this case and in most cases. So, Elisa, before we go, what's been your favorite part of the trip next to seeing Sylvia?
Oh gosh, I mean, it's so beautiful here. I love that I've gotten to see where she's from and meet her family, and just be a part of that. But just like I said, when she was with me, like my favorite time is just like our one-on-one time when we're just doing nothing, watching TV or a show or, anything together.
So you don't even necessarily need to see like the touristy areas. You're just happy spending this time together, right? I mean, right? You're just happy being right there at a hotel.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, we're in Rome right now, and it's beautiful. I mean, we're gonna walk around and stuff, but I'm in the hotel room.
My mom just asked me, I was the music.
That's great. We just took a nap.
I know. You're in Rome and you're taking a nap. Like, it seems like there's times where you could do that on the airplane later or like take a nap anywhere else. But what did you see in Rome? The hotel room? No, we never left. Well, I got to say, because I know that you're busy, and I do actually hope after another nap, I'm sure you'll take one or two more, that you will get out and see some of the sites. So, Sylvia, thank you for being on the program so many times while you were here and now in Italy, okay? And you'll keep us updated? Sure. And one other thing I wanted to say, just so you're ready, I should be sworn in as councilman again in January if you want to come again. So just,
oh my God.
I'll send you an invite.
Yeah.
So that can be your next trip. Then you can focus on July and August. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks so much. It's good to see you, Sylvia. All right.
Love you.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk to you soon. All right. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this. And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. Thank you again to Elisa and Sylvia for being on the program. That was fun hearing from them and seeing how Sylvia is doing back home. All right, we were talking about the Biden poll that does not look good. It depends on which outlet you go to. It is a CNN poll, but CNN and others trying to spin it as best as they can, saying there's no other real alternative. But Zachary Wolf from CNN says the alarm bells are ringing for Democrats. Some key lines to take away. Nearly half of registered voters, 46%, say that any Republican presidential nominee would be a better choice than Biden in 2024. So 46%, any nameless Republican candidate would be better than Biden. His job approval ratings stands at just 39%. 58% say that his policies have made economic conditions in the U.S. worse. A smaller share of the public than ever now say that he has the stamina and sharpness to serve effectively as president, with those declines driven largely by Democrats and independents. Hey, look at that. We just received a message. I wanted to make sure that audio was going through. I thought it was, but I sometimes check my messages just to make sure. And that was a fun interview. Well, thank you very much. I thought so as well. Something a little bit different to have a little fun on Friday. But yes, if you look at these numbers, sorry, I get distracted easily. If you look at these numbers, it is a very bad warning sign for the president. Now, does that change anything? Most people, as we mentioned earlier, the numbers show that most people believe, at least that vote Democrat, that he will be the nominee. And if you look at this, again, this article by Zachary Wolf, there are no alternatives. He goes on to, of course, do the normal criticism, the normal attacks on Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He mentions Bernie Sanders being a possibility, but because we heard, where was Bernie Sanders at? New Hampshire, was it? I want to say New Hampshire. Fueling speculation that he may run again. But they said, even though there isn't that far left clamoring for somebody like a Bernie Sanders, that goes to show that they think that at least they're content with Biden, or that Biden has the chance to win this thing. But those numbers are not good. Now, I do have to say this, because I always find this fascinating. And I want to be very crystal clear on this. This is in no way, shape, or form a criticism on Nikki Haley at all. Nikki Haley had a very good debate performance. She's been doing very good in her stump speeches, kind of being an alternative to maybe the Trump-esque wing of the Republican Party, but anyway, why I say this is not a criticism, look, let me just dive in. When you start to hear people in the media that never want to see Republicans win an election start to tell us who we should pick. Boy, that Nikki Haley's doing good. Or, maybe you have a friend that would never vote for the Republican, no matter who it is, Nikki Haley or whoever, would never vote for Nikki Haley, but say, boy, that's the only chance you guys have of winning. That just raises a ton of red flags. It reminds me of, and the list goes on and on. You can mention the people that lost, where we accepted that line of reasoning, like, Romney, McCain, etc., where we, as a party, said, okay, they say that's our best chance. And then, of course, it's not good at the end of the day. But then if you recall, when we were told the only person that could beat Hillary Clinton was Jeb Bush. Do you remember that? I think that's when a lot of people's eyes opened and said, wait a minute, why are we listening to the people that keep telling us who we should pick and they're always wrong? Now, I do think some people pick candidates for nefarious reasons. Like I said, maybe your Democrat friends or the Democrats in the media who say, this is your best chance. I do think there's a bit of that. But that's why I find it really interesting that all the coverage, and again, please, this is not a dig at Nikki Haley whatsoever, but Biden trails Haley, pulling neck and neck with other Republicans. If you look at the numbers, and it is fair, Haley would beat Biden by the most according to this poll. But to make her the headline, according to the CNN poll, again, this is CNN, Trump would beat Biden 47-46. That's not even throwing in the wild card of a Cornel West or whoever may jump in as third party. Then you've got DeSantis tied with Biden, 47-47. Now, Haley does have the biggest margin right here, 49% to 43%. She would beat Biden. Pence would beat Biden 46-44, so very similar to DeSantis. Actually better than DeSantis. Scott, yeah, because DeSantis was tied, excuse me. Tim Scott, who we've talked about quite a bit in the past, 46% to Biden's 44%. So really, again, that one is similar to Haley's. Now, this is where it gets very interesting. Biden would beat Ramaswamy, again, according to CNN poll, this early out, but just by 1 point. I mean, if this doesn't speak volumes to what the Biden campaign is dealing with at this point. And finally, even Chris Christie would beat Biden 44-42%. So when we come back, we'll look at some of the spin on Biden, and then we're going to take a look at what some of the criticism, even from his own party, is starting to look like. So that's when we come back. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. We're talking about the disastrous poll numbers. And again, I know it's early, but for President Biden. And you've got to remember that it is only basically the kickoff to the campaign season, the unofficial kickoff, meaning Labor Day at the beginning of the week. And so anything can happen. And that goes back to my point about Nikki Haley. She did have a good debate performance, but, and I can't believe I keep sounding like I'm criticizing Nikki Haley, but, at one point Kamala Harris thought was going to be the lead because she had such a good debate performance. Ironically, calling her now boss essentially a racist. But then, of course, she never even made it to the first primary vote. So again, this is not a criticism about Nikki Haley. It's just about the coverage. Just makes me take a step back, try to dissect it a little bit more. But we were talking about the poll numbers. Sorry, tangent. So they have to start spinning it, meaning either the poll numbers themselves, which they've done a little bit of a good job, I guess, a little bit in the CNN article. But now you have to start looking at the articles that praise the president for whatever issue it may be. Now, let me ask you a question before I show you an example of this. Not even ask you a question. I want you to think about this piece from Allison Moreau at CNN. When you go in to get your groceries, when you fill up your tank, when you look at your daily, weekly, monthly expenses, I want you to think about the headline to this article. Why Biden's strong economy feels so bad to most Americans. Does this not fit what I've said on this program maybe too many times? The idea of never mind what you're experiencing, what you're feeling, believe us. You know, it's the same thing with public safety. Never mind the crime in the streets. Never mind that maybe you've been a victim of something. Look at our polling numbers. Look at how we can twist this. It really shows a lack of faith, a lack of belief in the intelligence of, well, CNN readers, apparently. They really must have a low opinion of the people that watch them and read their articles. So, again, the economy's going great guns. Never mind what your checking and savings account looks like right now. Trust Allison Moreau. So that's one of the spin that they have on it. When we come back from break, we're going to show you the other side. And this is a prominent Democrat and what he had to say about the recent poll showing those very low numbers for President Biden's re-election chances. So that's when we come back. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. Isn't that behind the scenes action exciting? Got a couple extra seconds there to see what it looks like as I prepare to come back from break. I am Frank Acom. This is Frankly Speaking on Big Fox. Thank you for joining us. So I thought this was more damaging than I initially expected. And what this relates to, again, if you're just joining us, is the polling numbers coming from CNN that shows that Joe Biden would lose to nearly any Republican out there, and that just the low approval ratings, etc. And the reason I say this was so damaging in a way is that Van Jones, CNN political commentator, Van Jones, very prominent Democrat voice at CNN. I can't tell you how many times I've quoted him on the program. He was on This Morning on CNN. That's the name of the program. And he was asked about Democrats that are worried that the presidency is too high stress a job for Joe Biden as he ages. And this is what he had to say. And he mocked the idea of re-electing Biden essentially. Would you give this grandpa a high stress job for 6 more years? And why I say this is damaging, that put it into perspective as we've talked about, and so many people on both sides have talked about maybe the health issues, or we see a slower pace from the president. We see maybe more mistakes, things like that. It's a pretty constant thing that we hear about. You think of 4 more years, right? That's the slogan, 4 more years. But you forget that we're in 2023. So technically yes, he would be running for 4 more years, but we have almost 2 years leading up to that, right? That is really interesting. I guess, I mean, it's common sense. It's something that should have popped up. You just don't think about, he has a whole nother year next year of running for re-election. So that's another on top. So that's 5.5. Anyway, Jones said a lot of people are terrified that Joe Biden is in real trouble and that you can't talk about it. So that's what's going on. Yeah, I believe if you are a Democrat, you can't talk about it. That's why I thought what Van Jones did here was so intriguing. You really can't talk about it if you're a Democrat, because then you look like you're a kind of a traitor to the party, or worse yet, what do you support, Trump? But he continued, right now, today, I think a lot of Democrats look at these numbers and say the whispers are finally showing up in this data. People are talking behind their hand. They worry about Joe Biden. Joe Biden's like the grandpa that you love, that you believe in, you owe a lot to. But you start to wonder, would you give this grandpa a high-stress job for 6 more years? Or would you want something else for him? So look at it from that standpoint. You're not doing Joe Biden any favors, giving him 4 more years on top of next year. I think it maybe is the bottom for Joe Biden. He may go up as the economy improves, but right now the economy is getting better and fears about the economy are getting worse. It's Van Jones's words, not mine. We've got to be honest as Democrats that there's a real pain out there at the base of our party. People still don't feel these policies yet, and we're going to have to make the case stronger. We can't just say, hey, don't worry about it. We have to make a stronger case for the help that's on the way than we have so far. The help is on the way. But I do think that's interesting. That has been kind of the, hey, don't worry about it. Everything's going to work out. Interesting. Weigh in on it. But I do got to take our last break. Then we're going to wrap things up here on Frankly Speaking, and it's going to be quick. So stay with us. And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, wrapping things up. Boy, the show went fast, didn't it? And like I said and predicted at the beginning, I think it went really, really well. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you had as much fun as I did during this program. There's a piece from the New York Post that says Kamala Harris says she may have to take over as president. You may have heard that. She's been interviewed a few times about this. The New York Post responds, please no. It's actually a pretty funny piece. We just don't have time for it. And some of the polling numbers that we've been talking about this morning show that most believe that Joe Biden was involved in Hunter's deals. But CNN spins it by saying, well, it's driven by partisanship. It's amazing. It says a lot of the results of a CNN poll that 61% of Americans think that then Vice President Joe Biden was involved in his son Hunter's business dealings, and 55% believe he acted inappropriately with regards to the Hunter Biden investigation. But then CNN has to say, well, that is driven by partisanship. Those numbers are amazing because they didn't even cover this story until the very last minute when they had to. So to see those numbers, I think that would startle them as well. And as Benjamin Weingarten writes, polls show media can't wave away the Hunter and Joe Biden scandal anymore. Okay, now we are out of time for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you again to Elisa and Sylvia for being on the program this morning from Italy. Wasn't that fun? It's good to get an update from Sylvia as she spent so much time over here. That would be her third appearance on Frankly Speaking. We had both of them on at the beginning to talk about ASSE.com, which is the International Student Exchange Program, early on in the program, very early. Then an update as Sylvia was headed back to Italy, and now an update from Italy. So we've got to see the whole story unfold right here on Frankly Speaking. So thank you to them for being on the program. So have a great weekend, fun, safe weekend. Make sure you join us on Monday for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV Big Fox. I look forward to it already.